Thank you, first of all, Santulan, for throwing such many accolades my way. Good evening, the faculty members and the students, volunteers, well wishers, and others who have joined this session out of interest. So, when Santulan approached me for a lecture, we were deliberating on various topics, whether to do on American literature, or British literature, or Shakespeare. But then we thought these might be something readily available to you wherever you go, or you might have had umpteen number of lectures on these topics. So in fact, I was the one who suggested that no, why don't we do something on disability studies? Especially students in the UG program don't get to hear much about disability studies. PG, some colleges do have a paper on that, but most of the colleges again they do not have a separate paper on disability studies. So I thought we'll do a session on disability studies, and Santulan Mahanta was more than happy to accommodate. Like he always does, he would accommodate if I ask. When we were in Hyderabad, I would ask, "Shall we go for tea?" Even at 1 o'clock in the night, he would say, "Yes, let's go." So that's the camaraderie and understanding between us. And in fact, he also felt that this topic would be of some interest to the students, regardless of whether they are doing their master, their undergraduation. Okay, so let us begin. Before we begin, I just want all of you to close your eyes for 1 minute. Okay, and in this 1 minute, you don't have to meditate. Don't go into the meditation mode. I'm going to ask you to do something. Close your eyes and just imagine a situation, okay, wherein all the sighted people of the world become blind, and all the blind people of this world become sighted. Just imagine what would the world be like, and after 1 minute, I'll ask you for your thoughts on this. Right? So your 1 minute starts now. You can just imagine how and in what are the ways the world will change if all the sighted population becomes blind and the blind population becomes sighted. All right. Yeah, I know it's some 30-35 seconds, but still okay. It must have given you a lot of ideas already. So let us hear from some of you. What do you think would be the changes the world will see if what I proposed becomes a reality? Yeah. Anybody? You can just open your mic, say your name, and share your thought with us. Your professor says that you are all very interactive. So now don't disappoint him.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
My name is Seema Gogoi.
Yes.
I am a sixth semester student.
Okay.
After closing my eyes, everything is black. My heart is really still, pumping. It's all black and I can't see anything. It's out of
Okay.
word.
So what would happen? Did you get my question? Did you get my question? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so what would happen in the world? What are the changes you will see in the world if everyone becomes blind and all the blinds become sighted? Suppose 99% people are sighted and 1% of the people, world population is blind. Now this one population becomes sighted and 99% of the population goes blind. What would be this world like? What are the changes you would see in your day-to-day world?
Yes, sir. The population which are don't see anything, they could understand the feelings of other people. Uh, they could feel the other people anxieties who are not, sighted.
Okay, fine. Let us hold it for a moment. Anybody else?
Vikas, shall I?
Yeah, just a minute. Let me just give one clarification in this. Don't go into emotional changes. Okay, go into the physical changes that you will see around you. How will the world change? How will the living patterns, the way of living, how will it change? Your driving, your road, everything. How will it change if everyone becomes blind and the blind becomes sighted? Yes.
Because I won't be able to drive anymore.
Okay.
And before
Sir,
driving it
sir,
itself, yeah,
can I chip in?
yeah, after me,
Okay,
Complete.
sure.
okay.
Yeah, after that.
I
What's
will, I will bump in against the wall when I
okay?
get up in the morning itself and try to find my way to the bathroom to the wash basin. I'll bump against many things, I guess, because it will be all of a sudden change. So that will be the first thing it will happen to me. It will be surprising, and I
This,
don't know what sightless people they
no,
manage
this
this.
no, this is a different answer. I did not ask what will you do if you go blind. I say, how will the world be if everyone becomes blind? That is what my question is. Right? 99
Okay,
can see now, one person cannot see. Now this one person can see and 99% people cannot see. How will the world change? That's my question. I'm not asking what will happen to you if you go blind. Everybody knows that what would happen if you go blind. But what if the majority becomes blind? Yes, a gentleman wanted to answer. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Akash,
So actually, I also assumed what would happen to me actually. So
No, 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 no.
I think I think people would more rely upon their listening skills actually. That's one thing for sure.
Okay, yes.
Ability to,
Go on.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I'm Bristi Dutta. I think, as you said, if the majority becomes blind, then the blindness will be the new normal. I
Very
think
good. Very good. Yes. Now you're getting there. Come on.
that's what I think. And as we think that if someone is abnormal or someone is blind or dumb, that is not normal. So, if the majority of the people will have disability like blindness, then that will be the new normal. That will yes, that's my answer.
Great. What's your name, lady?
My name is Bristi Datta. Bristi Datta.
Mystery.
Bristi.
Mystery Dhoi. That one. That one.
Bristi.
Acha, Brish.
Baris.
Acha, theek hai. Brish. Okay. So yeah. So can anyone take it forward? What Bristi just said.
The systems around us will be changed. The
How?
systems, education system, for instance, uh,
Hmm.
and other system also.
sir, sir.
Yes.
I think sir, we'll try to understand. We'll try to understand the world through the sounds that we hear. Actually, all kinds of sounds. Actually.
Okay. Right. Anybody else? One last opinion, if you could take. Anybody? If not, then I'll move.
The very system of reading and writing
Huh.
that will change
Okay.
for academicians at least.
Right. So as Brishti said, that is the crux of all problems or all solution. If 99% becomes blind, then blindness will be the new normal. Now, who will be disabled? Tell me. Who will be disabled?
Those who can see now,
Those who can see. Now they are disabled. Why? Because all the facilities of the world will be created keeping in mind of the blind population. Your cars might not have windows. You might be able to develop vehicles which could be driven only by hearing, right? So, oh God, there's a sighted person. Okay, let us do something for him. Let us create a window for him. Special feature like no, the people who cannot walk, they have one extra wheel attached to their two-wheeler. The two-wheeler becomes a three-wheeler. Similarly, if the entire world goes blind, then the sighted people will have to be given some extra apparatus or some extra equipment to navigate the world around them, right? So, as you said, they will be minority and they will be considered disabled and not those who are blind because they are majority. Now, my question is it minority or disability? What is that? Or this is majority or ability? What is it? Right? This is the question around which the disability studies revolves. Okay. So when we talk about disability from a medical perspective, right, or from generic perspective, the disability affects the person who's disabled and his immediate family, right? It has more to do with medical condition, and the question raises is whether it can be cured or not. Simple, right? If cured, how much? If not cured, for how long will it remain, or for how long will this person live? And what would be the sacrifices from the family's perspective? There is no implication for anybody else. Okay, someone's son is blind, it's his problem. Someone's daughter cannot walk, it's her problem, right? So that is the generic outlook of disability. And the medical science will have another perspective, that is whether we can cure it. If not, can we manage it? Any disability. I'm not talking just about blindness. Blindness was just that example that I gave. Now we have crossed that, right? Let us encompass all kinds of disabilities here, right? So medical sciences will talk about ways to alleviate the problems, the suffering, right? Ways to make people's life manageable, right? Now let us talk about the disability studies. When we say disability studies, we are not talking about an ophthalmologist or an orthopedician or a neuropsychiatrist studying disability and finding medicines or treatment for it. That is not disability studies. That is medical study of disabilities, but not disability studies. Disability studies looks at disability from the viewpoint of society at large, socio-economic, political, and cultural implications of disability, right? So you cannot just say, okay, fine, he is disabled, she is disabled. It just goes with that family or that person as an individual. But the society also has some impact. It faces some impact. Let us see, for example, if a disabled person who cannot walk very fast, right? Your bus, the bus stop stops only for 15 to 20 seconds. Now this person who's disabled is trying to board the bus. He's a little slow. Now what does the conductor do? He stops the bus for 10 extra seconds so that this person can board the bus. Now, did it impact all of you who are in the bus? Did it have an impact? You can keep your mics open. We'll have an interactive session. I'm not here to give a one-way lecture, right? So yeah. Did this 10 extra second have an impact on those who are traveling in the bus? Yes, no, don't know. I don't think so.
Not
Sorry?
necessarily.
Sorry?
Not necessarily.
But they had to wait extra 10 seconds, right?
Yeah, of course.
So did not it have an impact?
If they have schedule to maintain, then it might actually.
Fine, let us go one step further. Now the bus is fully packed. He's a man and he's standing near you. Now you would have left it alone, but he is a disabled person. He cannot walk. He's holding on to crutches and all that. So you are socially and consciously obligated to give him your seat. Now you stand up and let this person sit. And you have to travel for half an hour more. Now you have to travel standing. Does it impact your journey or not? You will not feel bad about it. You will not feel sad about it. That's okay, right? That is the goodness in you. But my question is, does it make a difference in your journey or not? Right? You who are supposed to sit and travel, because you captured the seat before anyone else could. So many were standing, but since there was a disabled person, you had to relinquish your seat and give it to him so that he could travel and you stand and travel. So the disability of someone else who's a complete stranger to you had a small bit of impact on your daily commute for at least one day. So gather such small bits of instances, and they become a large set of a series of instances, and then it impacts. It creates an impact. May not be always negative. It can also be a positive impact, right? So disability studies says that it is the society's responsibility, right? The society has to make certain provisions so that it is an even playing ground for everybody concerned, regardless of disabled or not, right? So there are some three models which have been which are being practiced in the world when it comes to the disabled people. Now the British, okay, they adapt a different model, okay, and the Americans adapt a different model, and the Scandinavians adapt yet another model, okay. Now the Americans, no, the British thinks that, okay, that is called the accommodating model. They feel that the society has to make provisions, right, in such a way that the disabled can navigate the world as easily as the non-disabled can. So they don't see the disabled as different or any less than the non-disabled people. But if certain provisions are made infrastructurally, for example, life could be as smooth as anybody else, right? So for example, if everyone is climbing stairs and if a person cannot climb stairs, let's give him a ramp, right? So that he can easily or she can easily navigate. This is the model practiced by the British system. Okay. Now the Americans go one step further. They think that the disabled are a minority. If you are a minority, you know what happens. You have a minority section in India, right? For example, the Muslims and the Christians are considered minority. Do they have some special privileges, the minorities? Yes. You have special minority institutions, right? They can have their own set of rules up to some extent. They can appoint their own people, right? They have these liberties, right? That is minority. So the American way of thinking is that, yes, the disabled are a minority. Let us give them some special reservations, concessions, right? So that they can stand and rub shoulders with the non-disabled people, right? So when you say minority, they are not against the majority, but they are the other side of majority, right? It's not one against the other, but just showing that you are minority and this side, which is opposite to you, not against you. They are minorities. So we have to make some reservations, concessions, some additional. You should cut them some slack. That's what it means to then live their life as their non-disabled peers too. Now the third model is the Scandinavian model, that is called the gap model. What they say is, see, there is a gap between the lifestyles and the societal norms when it comes to the disabled and non-disabled. We have to narrow this gap. Now, how do you narrow this gap? For example, one person earns 100 rupees. The other person earns only 30 rupees. Now, I have to make these two people come to a level ground. What should I do? What should I do? One earns 100, the other one earns 30. There's a huge void between. I want to create a level playing field. What should I do? What would I do? Maybe this 100, the guy who is earning 100 should give up some of his money, and he should be earning somewhere around 80 or 85, and let this person earn some 45, 50, so that at least the gap can be narrowed down to a certain extent. This is also called the Marxist way of conducting or administration, the communist way of doing things. Right? This is the Scandinavian model. Now you may ask me, what is the model adapted by India? India has the amalgamation of all the three of them. And anyway, all the three of them just look at the problem from different angles, but the solutions are pretty much the same. All of them want to give them proper education. All of them want to create job opportunities. All of them want to create a better lifestyle. So the goal is the same for all. But the means or the viewpoint, the lens through which they look at it, that is something different. So these are the models. These are not theories. These are models, the working models of dealing with the disabled society in various countries. Okay, so this is the disability model of various countries. Now, the study of disability is actually not very new, though people talk about it now so much. Actually, this started in 1960s, 70s, right? And a lot of literature has been written on it. Literature in the sense, the academic study, right? Literature dates back to what, our times of the Vedas, Ramayana, Mahabharata. Even there, right? I'm not talking about that literature. When I say literature, I mean the academic research work and all the other theoretical books, essays, and those things. So that, sorry. All right. So, sorry. This started in 1970s, but slowly and steadily it has taken some amount of a fire, or it has been propelled into mainstream studies in India in the last 1.5 to 2 decades. Right? So our literature has given us so many models when it comes to disability. I'll talk about that later. So now we spoke about this thing, that is disability, the models and all that. Now there are new theories emerging every day. So first they thought, okay, let us be sensitive to disability. Disability is nothing to be feared about. Remember when Corona struck, our governments asked us to be sensitive, right? Just be aware, be sensitized about it. Don't worry about it. Don't panic. Just know what are the risks and how those risks can attack you. That is called sensitization. So being sensitive about the shortcomings and the positives of the disabled, that was the first thing, because people can do a lot of things to eliminate the problems of the disabled. But people at the same time can also make these disabled people a part of the productive society they live in. Right? For example, a person who cannot walk, who's wheelchair bound, can be an excellent artist. Maybe you can let him work on some cartoons for children's textbooks and all that, or he can be very good at computer programming. Okay, so let us make him a software developer. He can not only feed himself, but can also be a resourceful person in the society. He can be a valuable resource in the society. Or a blind man who cannot drive and who cannot do a lot of running around jobs, but he is good at teaching, or who is good at making chairs, right? Let us get him that work so that he can be a productive person in the society rather than the society collecting money to feed him. Now this is much better, right? Every day you cannot be asking people to collect money so that some disabled people can be fed. Then there will be an absolute burden on the society. So this is what disability studies starts with. Now they talk about narrowing down the gap, or treating them as minority, this and that and all that. Now there is only so much you can do, right? But there are problems beyond what the society can do when it comes to eliminating the problems of the disabled. Now they say the new theory is impairment effect. Impairment effect. No matter how much you educate, no matter how much you earn, no matter how much the society helps you, you still will be short of achieving the full potential when compared to your non-disabled counterparts. For example, a person who's blind or a person who's wheelchair bound takes his girlfriend to a club or to a ball dance, you all know, right? Party, anything. Now he cannot, like, he has a girlfriend, right? He has a relationship which is going great, everything is fine. But when everyone is doing salsa, this person definitely cannot stand up and do salsa. Especially if the person is wheelchair bound, blind person still can do salsa, but not a person who is wheelchair bound, for example. Right? Now, can the society help him perform salsa? Can the political, the economic concessions or the job reservations or whatever, can those things make him perform this salsa? Not possible. This is just one example, right? So this is called impairment effect. This is a new line of study that is emerging. That is, we say, right, things beyond our control. If you watch the cricket matches, you would listen to a lot of these captains talking about we can control only the controllables. This is a new line that is favorite to many of the losing captains these days. We can only control the controllables. So this is impairment effect. Okay. Now let us talk about disability literature. What has literature been saying about disability? I'm talking about proper literature now, right? So disability has been a prosthesis. What is a prosthesis? You know that, right? What is a prosthesis? Prosthetic leg, prosthetic arm, right? The artificial limbs, right? Literature has been a narrative prosthesis. There's in fact a book called Narrative Prosthesis. If you are interested, you can read that book also. So literature has been a vehicle, it has been a prosthesis, narrative prosthesis to drive home certain points in the society. A a disabled person is often, a symbol of all that is evil. For example, in Ramayana, you have a character, Shurpanaka. Shurpanaka is, she is madly in love with Lakshman and somehow wants to have him. But Lakshman is so angry that he cuts her nose, thus maiming her. Now, this is also kind of disability, okay? Now, Shurpanaka is sands her nose, and that sort of spoils her beauty, and that bruises her ego big time. This is one. You have Dhritarashtra in Mahabharata. And that man again is not known for making the wisest of decision. Again, implying that since he cannot see, he cannot take wise decision. Right? You have Richard III in Shakespeare. You can just think of the number of novels or poems or plays where you have a disabled character, and just see what those disabled characters symbolize. Right? In most of the cases, they are symbolized as some form of shortcoming of the person, right? A character fault. And in some other, they are viewed as pure angels, right? Capable of doing things, knowing things which the world ordinary cannot know and do. For example, you see a character, the blind Delphi. Where does it come? The blind Delphi. Anybody? In which literature, at least? Indian, American, British. I'm asking in that line. The blind Delphi.
Greek.
Yeah, good. So the Greek literature, the Roman literature, they talk about the blind Delphi, the oracle, and all that. Right? Now this person, since he doesn't have eyesight, he has the insight and the foresight. So one sight is compensated with two. He does not have eyesight, so he has been given two complementary sight. Like, I was traveling once. Okay, I was traveling from Chennai to Chandigarh, and I had to stop at Mumbai. So I had asked them for something, and they said wait for 5 minutes, and the 5 minutes became 50 minutes, and I shouted at them, and then they were like apologetic, and they brought to me 2 bags of goodies. They say, please accept our apology, sir, and this is a small compliment from our side. Right? This is to sort of soften the anger and the disappointment of the customer. Or most of the airlines do. If you have been a frequent flyer, you would have noticed these things. Now God, what he does, according to this kind of literature, is that he has taken away this person's sight. So now God says, okay, please forgive me. I really apologize for taking your sight away from you, but don't worry. I'll give you 2 bags of goodies. What is that? Insight and foresight. Okay. You will be able to say what will happen to people's future. How will people live or evolve in the future? So people will throng. Oh, Delphi, okay, let us hear from him. Let us see what he says. And the kind of respect astrologers command in our country. You know that, right? Astrologer? Okay, if someone says in your classroom that I am very good at palm reading, how many of you will go and show your palm to that person? Yes or no? Right? If someone says, I can read your palm accurately and tell you your future, most of you will be tempted to consult that person, showing your palm. So that person becomes an instant celebrity. So that is the case with the blind Delphi also. A lot of kings consult these people, and they tell you what would happen. And the story of Oedipus is again a shining example. Most of you would have read that. So disability in literature is used either to show the shortcomings, the faults of a man, or they say a disabled man is the purest form of life. I tell you, neither one is true. Right? So people who study disabilities, that is the people from the Department of Disability Studies, what they say is, don't look or don't see through disability. Don't see through them, but see them. See them for what they are. Their disability does not tell you something about them, but they will tell something about themselves. Right? So look at VIKAS, right, as VIKAS only. Don't look at VIKAS as a blind person. Oh, since he is blind, he is able to speak. How is he able to speak? Because he cannot see, so he tend to listen that much more keenly. Right? Since he is blind, his listening power is increased? Nothing. If that is the case, then most of the music directors in the world would have been blind. How many blind music directors are there? I can recall only one or two who have been really hit success. How many there? How many are there? Right? So this is a myth. So don't fall prey to such myths. Look, right? Don't look through disability. Right? Don't look. Don't look at disability. Don't look through a disabled person. Look at the disabled person, or don't see through the disabled person. See the disabled person. They are just like any other normal being. They also have jealousy. They have killer instincts, right? They also do party a lot. They also run families. So the sympathy or whatever, empathy is still fine, but the sympathy or feeling bad or looking at the disability and looking at the literature that you read, that will portray a very wrong picture. So that is what disability studies wants to convey, and that is what disability study wants to educate people about. Look at it as a social I would not say even problem. Look at it as a social phenomenon that has to be dealt like any other social phenomenon, right? As you said, if all the world roams in wheelchair, then what would happen, right? If some people, the minority, are not wheelchair bound, they can walk. So your house doors, right, will be only this height, right? So a 6 feet person will have to bend, right? Bend to his hip level and go through all the doorways in the world. Now, who will be disabled? The question against sticks, right? So the wheelchair bound people have the world designed according to their taste and convenience. Now, this person who is fully functional body wise, but since he is a majority, he becomes disabled here, right? So disability, in other words, is also about minority, politically speaking. So it's the game, it's a political game of majority and minority. Since the world is able, the world has created facilities according to their whims, fancies, according to their taste, according to their convenience. Had the world been disabled, okay, have you read this novel by Jose Saramago? The novel's name is Blindness. So this novel tells about a world where everybody is blind except a few. If you have time, if you are into reading more than what your curriculum prescribes, then probably you can try that. Jose Saramago, that is literature. And there is another book called Ato Quiescence. This person has written a book named what is that? Aesthetic nervousness. Okay, the name of the book is Aesthetic Nervousness by Ato Quiescence. And there is, I told you, right, Narrative Processes, again a book. So these are some books on disability studies that you can refer to if you want to get deep into it. I just wanted to give you an intro and what this disability studies would give you if you decide to get into it. So it was just a sneak peek into the branch of disability studies. So I hope I'll stop here, and if you have any questions, I'll be more than glad to take them. Am I audible?
You are perfectly audible, Vikas.
Okay. No, since there was pin drop silence, if I may use the Indian English term. Scared, yeah.
So students, now you can shoot your questions, and Vikas will answer your queries.
Okay, so since I don't hear anybody asking a question, We'll wind up then. I really thank you all for patiently listening to me, and I sincerely hope that you would have learned at least something out of this session. I know there would not be much to learn, but there will be at least something that you'd have learned, something new today.
Sir,
And yes,
Akash here.
yes,
Yes, sir. I'm really interested in this area actually, disability studies. And like you mentioned, I'm reading the book Narrative Processes for some
yeah,
time actually now, and I would love to know some more suggestions actually, literature that I should read actually. I would love to listen from you, and I have a particular question also, sir. Since our social system is premised upon somewhere around, it is premised upon the language that we speak, right? In what the way we infer our world or communicate in our day-to-day relations actually. So do you see there is any kind of inherent relation or say constructedness in between the language that we speak, the words we choose to refer to something or somebody, and our understanding of what is disabled and what is able actually.
if I understand your about
Hello, sir.
that makes me different. Is that right?
I mean, is there the language that we speak actually, the way we interpret our world actually through language? So, is there any kind of relationship between language and our understanding of the nature of disability, or for that matter, ableness?
I don't.
Akash, please mute your mic so that Vikas's speech becomes audible.
Yeah. So I don't think there is some relationship between the language and how it is perceived. For example, I wrote a paper last year, and I had mentioned that we have been giving disability different names, right? Disabled, handicapped, differently abled, special, physically challenged, physically handicapped, and now Divyang. But leave alone these names. Has it been, has life been any better just because of these words? No. Words don't mean anything. They are, no, it's euphemism. And what is euphemism? Euphemism is a diplomatic cologne, hiding the unpleasant truth. You call up a blind man blind or visually challenged, he will still remain blind, right? So language does not make any difference, but what do we do, how do we act upon the things around that sector? That is the thing. Merely calling a disabled Divyang does not bring about a change, but how do you act differently, and how do you, in the sense, the responsibility lies with both the abled and the disabled, because you can only take the horse to the pond, you cannot make it drink. So there has to be two-way communication, two-way traffic. Only then things will change. Language alone, I don't think has any significant impact to offer. That's what my answer to your question would be.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Vikas,
Yes.
now I'm not going to ask you any question, but my query is that whether you consider disability as any other game of minority versus majority, just like gender games.
Okay. Yeah. See, it's always, when it comes to disability studies, it's always about the politics around it, right? You have gender, you have gender politics, you have caste politics, right? OBC, BC, SC, ST, minority, this and that. And in the Western countries, you have race, blacks, whites, the African struggle, the Negro thing, you all know. So disability is just one, you correctly said, it's just one such political game, right? So that is what the disability studies likes to explore.
There is a question in the message box by our student Sima Gogoi.
Okay.
So I am reading it out to you.
Yeah.
Sir, I have watched the film Coda which shows hearing disability. In Western, there are so many films and other communicative media about differently able person. Sir, is Indian film and communicative media lacked in this area?
Um, See, yeah, the Indian films more or less they have the stereotypical suggestions to give when it comes to movies, right? This the paper that I told you. I was writing on the depiction of the blind in movies in India. So that was the thing I was writing, and yes, there is a lot of stereotype representation of the disabled, whether it is blind or deaf and dumb, or right. You have this movie Khamoshi that is a little better, I guess, and then this movie Fana, where you have this girl who is blind, but there are not many traits of a person shown who's blind. But there are some movies which pigeonhole the disabled people into certain ways they want, to certain stereotypes. So yes, majority of the Indian movies have the stereotypical view of disability when they portray the disabled. And since I do not watch much of Hollywood movies, I'm not in the right position to make any comment on them.
Because this question leads to another question from my side.
Yes.
That is, you are pretty much aware of the film Black.
Sorry? Black,
You are
yes.
pretty much aware of the film Black, casting Amitabh Bachchan and Rani Mukherjee.
Okay.
Yeah,
I seen
uh-huh.
that. I've heard a lot about it. Somehow I did not get an opportunity to watch the movie.
Yeah, same thing here. But now I want to know about your take on this issue, that how they are trying to enable that girl to speak, who cannot see and who cannot hear. They are trying to enable her to speak. So
Hmm.
do you consider it is an imposition from the majority?
See what exactly? You see what is the drive? The drive is to make her like the majority. So in the end, I don't know if she is able to speak, the entire theater will erupt into clapping, right? So if she is able to speak, the majority will be happy. Why? Because she is no different. She is just like us. She has entered our world, right? As if she was some alien who was living in some other world, and now suddenly, just because of her ability to speak, she has entered the majority, the world of majority. So it is, yes, the populist view and the populist aspiration to see this character speak. Only just like the hero and heroine should get married in the end of the movie, and the hero should not die at the end of the movie. Very few movies have survived after killing the hero. Movies like Bazigar, right? But very few have survived after killing the protagonist of the movie. The protagonist should not die. That is the majoristic view. So similarly, I don't know if Black makes Rani Mukherjee speak at the end, but if they do that, then it is definitely to satisfy the appetite of the majority.
Yeah.
So even if Fana also, the movie you just referred to actually, there also Kajol's character undergoes a surgery actually where her eyesight is restored at the end of the film. So it's a kind of formula, I guess, to appeal to the audience.
Kaju in Fana, what happens is okay. Until she is blind, she is shown to be a very confident woman. Okay, she is not portrayed in a very pathetic, oh, bichari, not like that. She is shown to be a very confident woman, but yes, she is operated upon and she gains her eyesight, and that is not even halfway of the movie, right? More than half of the movie still remains. So probably the director did not want to deal with the problem of the heroine being blind for the most of the movie or why, but yes, that made her sighted. And probably no, they could have thought of differently, still keeping Kajol blind and yet discovering that this man is actually a terrorist. That would have been even more better. But yes, again, bowing to the majority, the demand of the majority or the wish of the majority, they have somehow made Kajol sighted to even before the halfway of the movie.
So because another question,
Yes.
Now, you spoke about this accommodating method, right? Accommodating method or approach? Approach.
Which one? Ah, yeah, accommodating. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So this giving the ability to speak or restoring the eyesight, all these things, don't you think that these things go against the accommodating approach?
That is what exactly I'm saying. That is exactly what I'm saying. It is becoming a little political. If it is accommodative, then you will create facility or you will try and explore to accommodate the person into your setup. But what you are doing, no, you have to change. You see these movies like Raja Hindustani and other movies where this hero is poor person, the heroine is very rich. They somehow what tum hamare kabil ban jao, right? Only then you will be suitable to be our son-in-law. If you cannot, then we will definitely not able to accept you. So the accommodating thing is giving way to more political way of putting things, or the majority oriented thought. That is what many of the movies show. But I'm not saying that making a person again able bodied is bad. It's good. That is for medical science to do. But literature seeking glory through making a disabled person able just by some miracle, that I don't think is the right representation of disability.
Hanuman sir, there is a question from Nupur. If you could just read it.
There is a question from Nupur Fukam. She is asking, sir, thank you so much for your thought-provoking and informative session. Actually, today is the first day of learning about disability studies in details. My question is, why do you think disability studies are underrated when especially able people are just as normal and human as the able ones?
So her question, if I'm not wrong, is that why is it underrated, or why is it not taught very, what to say, commonly in universities and colleges? Is that right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. See, again, there has to be market. One. Second thing, there has to be awareness. If disability has to be taught everywhere, people should not only have read books, that they also should have had some experience with disabled and disability, which is not the case. Again, game of majority, right? So if you want someone to teach disability studies, I don't say that that person has to be disabled. No, right? There are so many books written by able-bodied people about disability studies, right? So, but the thing is, he or she should have had some exposure and experience with the disabled and the disabled community, so that to properly appreciate and teach, and also first of all to design a syllabus fit for a course like that. So that is the thing. There are lack of awareness, lack of right resources has led to this particular study not being offered everywhere. And it's all about, again, majority. This is a very small bit of discipline that is slowly mushrooming in some universities, especially in India. And in years to come, you will see that a lot of people taking up initiatives to bring up this kind of studies. Imagine what was a gender studies some 50, 60 years back, right? Now, gender studies is offered everywhere, right? Dalit literature, subaltern literature, right? Those were not being offered some 50 years back, but now they have become a part of the syllabus of almost every college and university. So just wait for some time. This will definitely come to pass.
Any more questions? Because since I am a very new person to this area, that means not a new person to this area in the sense I am studying this. No, I have totally no knowledge of these issues.
I'm also a new person to disability studies. I have not studied disability. When I was studying in college, we were not offered this.
Okay, but the thing is, what the majority of the NGOs dealing with the disabled peoples, what is their approach in dealing the issues?
So no, see, this is disability studies is not about telling people how to approach a disabled person. Disability study talks about how the society responds to the disabled community. It is not individual basis. It is, again, as I told you, no, the minority is pivoted against the majority, and how the majority and minority can work together to create an even play field for both of them. That is what we are not talking about. Dealing with empathy, get to know how a disabled person works, helping him only if he or she asks. We are not talking about that. Is interpersonal communication between a disabled and non-disabled person, right? That is not what disability studies is offering to you. It offers a larger picture, the society as whole, the majority and the minority, here the minority being the disabled, how these two can complement each other instead of no, fighting against each other, or instead of one becoming a burden to the other.
Now, because I am going to say something else regarding the rewriting of the literature. You are pretty much aware of these things, I guess. Bringing the periphery to the center. These things are happening, right? Rewriting of Mahabharata from the Karna's perspective or Draupadi's perspective, all these things, right?
What is that? I did not hear you properly.
Pardon? You are not audible.
What is that?
Because you are not audible.
Am I not audible? Hello?
Wait for a minute or two, guys. Let Vikas rejoin. Yes, Vikas?
Am I audible now? Hello?
Yeah. Now
Yes, sir, you are.
Yeah.
Because
So you asked me about rewriting of literature. I did not get anything after that. What was that?
like rewriting of the Mahabharata from the Draupadi's perspective or from Karna's perspective, from Gandhari's perspective, all
Yes.
these things are going on, right? Bringing
Yes.
the periphery to the center. But
Yeah.
no one ever ventured it to write from the Dhritarashtra's perspective or rewrite the Ramayana from Surpanakha's perspective. Why? Because people are not comfortable putting themselves in the position of a challenged person or disabled person. Is it because of that? Because see, if someone is writing from Draupadi's perspective, because people are already dealing with feminist perspectives, right?
True.
So some people will be putting themselves into a feminine persona and will be writing from Draupadi's perspective.
True.
Right? But not anywhere I could see from a disabled person's perspective or disabled character's perspective how Mahabharata would have been if it was to be centered around Dhritarashtra, or how Ramayana would have been if Surpanakha was to be a central character. Is it because of the uncomfortableness, or more precisely unwillingness to enter into a persona which they have never dealt with?
I think there are two reasons. One is that yes, okay, they might not be able to fully appreciate the life of Surpanakha or Dhritarashtra, or the blind oracle, or any other, the Richard III, or right. Richard III still is there. He's the protagonist anyway. So, but what I also feel is that it's all money. It should sell, right? And you are not ready to take that risk. So it calls for a disabled person to go and write a Ramayana from Dhritarashtra's perspective. But I don't know whether anybody would be writing that. So one is getting out of your comfort zone. Second is, if you write after putting so much effort, what if it doesn't sell? Because people should also be ready to read Mahabharata from this person's perspective, right? Many of them would not even remember this person's name when you say Mahabharata, right? So leave alone buying. The familiarity again is relatively lower when compared to the Pandavas and Kaurava, the main, that is Duryodhana and Draupadi and Karna and others. So these are the two factors. One is the fear, again I say, getting out of the comfort zone and getting to an uncharted territory where they'll not be able to fully appreciate the world of the disabled. Second is again the economic risk, the financial risk they will be putting themselves into if they venture into such a territory.
So that means any effort in these areas actually gains momentum whenever momentum when a certain movement is in the vogue, right?
Yes. Remember,
Feminism is in the vogue. That is why Draupadi's perspective becomes important. That will sell.
yeah. So how did the feminist movement start? Didn't women know about their rights in the 14th or 15th century? They knew, right? Was it not painful to get beatings from their husband? Was it not, insulting to just be at home and cook and not even getting the right to vote, to choose the leader who to lead your country? People knew about it. They also felt bad about it, but there has to be a spark to light that lamp of knowledge, or the lamp of revolution. So there was some revolution in the 16th, 17th century, and as a result, feminism. Similarly, there has to be some spark of revolution, some spark of enlightenment, which would light the lamp of knowledge in the society when it comes to disability literature. But that is going to happen very soon. The days are not very far. If you read the books that I just mentioned in my lecture, you would see that we have come a long way when it comes to understanding disability than what we were some 40, 50 years back. Another reason for this is, technology has made life very easy for the disabled, that they are able to mingle with the society day in and day out. Today, a person spotting a disabled person, the chances of spotting a disabled person in a day has increased multifold when compared to some 15, 20 years back, because the disabled people from 20 years back will not be able to mingle in the day-to-day lives of the normal world, the able body world. But today, lives have changed. Disabled people can be found everywhere. They can be found in schools, colleges, corporate companies, right, in courtrooms, in commerce chambers, in restaurants, parks, theaters, bars, everywhere people will be found. You can see a disabled person. So when more they tend to think, oh, what is their life like? Then some will strike a conversation. Some will get to know them better, right? So that is how this awareness will be spread, not just by sharing some advertisements on TV or sharing some pamphlets about sensitizing people about disability. They will not work. It's only the practical knowledge which will work, and it is happening. I'm glad about it.
That reminds me of the Hyderabad University orientation program, where when we, at night, in the dead of the night actually, we decide to take a cup of tea 3 kilometers or 4 kilometers away from the campus. You were the person to call upon the cab. Right?
Yeah.
See, if there was no technology, we wouldn't have expected you to call a cab in the dead of the night.
Exactly. Now, some 20 years back, what you would have done, okay, because you sit, we'll bring a cab and then we'll call you. Now, what happened is, we are not getting cab. Can you try on your phone? Now I've sort of become equal. You understand? 20
Yes.
years back, I would have been a dependent. Now I am an able-bodied person or an equal to you, that I am expected to do the work that you guys are doing. This is the change I was talking to you about, right? Now this change will happen in days to come, because technology is advancing more and more and more, and you see more wonderful things happening in the future. Not only for people with blindness, people with orthopedical handicap, and also people who are mentally challenged, and other hearing impaired people also.
So technology is both enabler and facilitator.
Yes.
Okay. So students, do you have anything to add to the discussion? Meanwhile, Dr. Mithu Dusad, she has written, great presentation, congratulations to the whole team. So because the team includes you as well, we are thankful to you as also
My
for
pleasure.
giving us your time. Any more queries from the students?
I think we are eating into their dinner time.
Not into their dinner time, it is not yet dinner time. Probably because it is a very new field for them. They are
Yeah.
exposed to that today only by your lecture. So I definitely hope that they will look at things differently from now.
Yeah.
So shall we conclude here today and invite Mr. Akashjyoti Sharma to offer his vote of thanks? Because if you have anything to say, you can share with us right now.
That's what I've been doing, right, for the past 1 year.
Yeah. No, apart from whatever you have told us today, apart from that, some real life incidents and all these things which you want to share with us, which you think it will be interesting for us.
I won't be able to share things at random because I won't be able to even recall. But when an opportunity presents in the future, sometime we'll talk about them.
Sure, we are looking forward to that. So, Akashjyoti Sharma, would you please offer the vote of thanks?
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay. On behalf of the Department of English, I am here to propose the vote of thanks. Vote of thanks. First of all, we extend our heartfelt gratitude and we thank VIKAS MUNOT sir. Sir, this has been a really wonderful past 1 hour to we got the opportunity to listen to you, and sir, we are thankful for your presentation. You touch upon many new things actually, and I am sure that your today's presentation would help our students to gain new insights, and they would of course some of them might take up this area of studies, and we would love to have you amidst us in future also. We'd like to thank uh, our principal madam for her support and encouragement. Uh, Also, would like to thank our HOD sir, Dr. Dibojdi Bora, for his valuable inputs, and we thank our colleagues who have been working wholeheartedly for for making this session, making such session under the making this series, Guruvani series, a successful one. And also, last but not the least, we really appreciate our students for joining this session and for their kind participation and engagement. And sir, I hope in future also we would get you back through either online or say someday in person also. We'd like to meet you in our campus. And that's all, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Akash, and thank you, Vikas. Akash and Vikas, I am thanking both of you for your time, today. So because we are looking forward to meet you in person in the future, in the near future itself, of course. So I hope you will be interested to fly to here itself, right?
Sorry?
You'll be interested to fly to here and join us here someday.
Yes.
Yeah, it has been a long time since we met. It was back in 2017 or 18.
18.
18.
Yeah.
It's been 4 years almost.
Yes.
So even otherwise, we'll keep on meeting like this to our
Yeah.
Guruvani lecture program or any other online program. We hope you will give us your valuable time in the future also. So thanking you once again. We're going to conclude this program for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.